Hi everybody, welcome to Matt Bayeski YouTube channel. Today we're going to have a deep dive on fake Moldavite, and we're going to look at, we're going to try and cover all the bases. Now, my experience of Moldavite thus far is round about at least 2 decades of handling Moldavite, working with it as a healer on tens of thousands of clients. Therefore, I've got a pretty good idea of what's real and what's fake. Now, if you spoke to somebody who handles Moldavite every day, they would easily say to you, you can easily tell the difference, which is very, very true. You can. But there are samples which are becoming extremely hard to tell the difference. And in some cases, I don't even think they know the difference. Now, that's a little bit scary, and it's a big sorry, there's lots of noise downstairs. This always happens when we go on to a really fascinating subject. There's noise that's trying to stop us. There's always something trying to stop us. It's almost like the darkness wants everybody to receive all bad information, and they want the badness to go through the world. And the reason why is my belief is that Moldavite, in my opinion, if it was given to every single soul in the world, there'd be a mass awakening of some description. Not always fun, but a mass awakening to help shift the energy of darkness and dispel and clear it. And that's what Moldavite does. It's a connector to your higher self. But this conversation is more about how to buy, how to look for, and how to look for a right piece of Moldavite, using your common sense. So I'm going to take you through everything that I've been through, but I tell you what, the noise downstairs, seriously, wow. I don't think this is going to stop, guys. I think we're going to be in for a heavy ride of so much banging. So maybe we'll just get through it. So my first encounter with a piece of false Moldavite, fake Moldavite, piece of glass, was many years ago. And it was probably one of the most challenging points, because at that time I believed I'd gained a very, very good connection with a man in the Czech Republic. We spoke to each other on a first name basis. We'd done business for quite some time. And I was in need of a piece for a very exclusive client who wanted to spend a lot of money on Moldavite, on a piece of Moldavite. Prior to that, a friend of hers, which most of the industry know each other. So if you're very famous, if you're a singer, you know the singers and so on. It's so that's what happened. I ended up knowing one person that then sent another person to me, and the amount of money that they were willing to spend was a lot of money. So of course I'm going to put it out there, and I said, look, I'm after something between 60 and 80 grams, a nice big piece. Well, of course it's very, very rare to find a really nice big piece, and but we were finding them, and he was finding them. So anyway, the price came, and I went, okay, my client agrees to it, please send it. So it came over, and I'd actually paid for it myself, and it was, back then, was years ago, and it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. It was a lot of money, okay? And like you're saying, 20 years ago, it's like you're talking thousands, really. So anyway, I got this piece of Moldavite, and it was this kind of shape, and it was like about this big, and it was quite thick, about the thickness. So I can't remember exactly how many grams it was, but it was a big piece. So of course, very rare. Anyway, I put it in my hand and I squeezed it, and like getting so excited, and I realized my excitement was that what was stimulating my energy. So I was self-energizing and self-creating, and in a flame of great excitement in myself. Anyway, after a few days, I get this niggly feeling. Something didn't feel right. And I hadn't mentioned anything about getting this piece, because normally I work on a piece of Moldavite for anywhere between, back then was anywhere between 1 and 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks, sometimes 3 months, before I'd say to my client, okay, I've put certain energy into the crystal that I now believe is ready. So this is what I was doing. So I'm sat down and I'm saying, okay, I'm putting this energy into this crystal, this Moldavite, and all of a sudden I get this, something just doesn't feel right at all. Can't believe I haven't turned. Hang on, guys. Okay, sorry. So much noise outside. You might not be able to hear it, but it's like bangs and bangs and cracks. It's almost like someone's trying to stop me. And normally it's nice and peaceful. It's constant. It's like, will you stop slamming the doors, please? Let me get on with the video. So, yeah, I sat down and I remember taking an eyeglass out, and I started looking, as you do, look at it carefully. And I used to be an antique dealer many years ago. I used to have auction houses, so you can tell fake within a lot of things, and normally the fake would have a mold line all the way around, so they mold it. So I'm looking for a mold line, didn't see a mold line, but something didn't feel right. So the only thing I could do at that time was send it away to be verified. So I did, I sent it away, and back then it was really expensive. It was about £87, but I knew who I was sending it to. It was going to be, it is a thorough, it's a thorough check. It's not chipping anything, it's actually doing the right job. Now back then, I don't think the person that I was sending it to was submerging. And that's what they do now. They submerge Moldavite in some kind of water or liquid, and they look at it again. So, you know, this becomes extremely technical. For me, I trusted this person totally, and it came back, and of course it was fake. Now, you can imagine my anger, because I knew that the Moldavites that I'd bought off him previously were genuine. Now, the prices I was paying were for pieces which were anywhere between 2 and 8 grams. But the big piece was like, okay, so now I kind of understand what's going on here. So I sent the message. I don't know how I did that. Did I do it by email? It might have been by email. And I said, this Moldavite, where did you get it from, please? And I started asking questions, and of course, nothing, disappears. The person disappears off the face of the earth, right? That was my wake-up call, So just when you think to yourself, I've just spent 50 quid and I bought a piece of Chinese or Indian or wherever they're faking it now. They're faking it in different parts of the world now. Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, of course. It's probably a lot of money to you, but imagine how much money I spent as well. So I was like gutted. So I started making videos back then saying, I'm probably one of the first ones actually to make a video. I didn't see anybody else talking about this because I don't think nobody else was affected by it. And it's never happened to anybody else. So when people were saying to me, and this is a really good point, please listen to this. When people offer certificates, do you know what a certificate means? I'll tell you what it means. It means a piece of paper that somebody's made. It means nothing. So when people come to my website and say, I'd like a certificate, I'll say, yeah, I can give you whatever you want, but it doesn't mean it's genuine. You're just getting a piece of paper. So forget your certificates, chuck them out of the window. Means nothing, absolutely zero. Oh, I'm doing that sign again. It means nothing, zero. Somebody's going to tell me I'm doing something now that I shouldn't be doing. So, right, so that was my burn. That was the time when I was burnt. That was when I was swindled, duped. And that was really my wake-up call to Moldavite and realizing that it doesn't matter where you buy around the world, even if it's in the Czech Republic, they're going to stuff you if they can, because that's the way of humanity. Humanity, mostly, are dirty, rotten scoundrels. There are some beautiful souls in the world, but there is some dirty, rotten scoundrels who only care about making money, and that's it. And yeah, so when you think you're going to a website and it says the Czech Republic, it means nothing anymore, guys. It means nothing. So from that point on, I realized that I have to be extremely careful who I'm buying from. And as somebody who works with Moldavite, and I have a massive clientele list, that, I don't want a bad name for myself. So I have to be really, really careful, overly careful. So the only way I would buy Moldavite at that point was to become really good friends with people on a personal note. Now, prior to that, I was buying from a Frenchman. This Frenchman was very well known in the industry, and he went to all the countries to buy them. So he actually went to the Czech Republic. So yeah, I trusted him with all my heart, and he told me the experiences, and it was, I mean, he had a huge collection of crystals from all over the world. So that was a long time ago. Anyway, so from that point on, I decided to go to some of the really big, large events around the world. And I wanted to meet people who were genuine Moldavite buyers. So I ended up meeting this one chap, and I think I made a video about him. I don't want to talk about names. He doesn't like his name being mentioned because he actually is paranoid and believes that the American government watch him. Now, why is that? I mean, I know it sounds crazy, and he's not a crazy guy. He actually believes people are watching him. And I made a video to you before about the government of Russia going to the Czech Republic and going to Besanice and basically offering the town a whole heap of money so they can excavate a field or two. And they basically took trucks and trucks, army trucks away of basically Moldavite in the mud. So that's interesting. Why would the Russian government do that? But we know the quality and the power of Moldavite when you have a genuine piece. That aside, I met this one chap and we struck up a relationship. He isn't easy to get on with. He doesn't speak English. So the interpreter was somebody who I got on very well with. And because he's old school and because he's a digger, and he was a digger, that's what he did was a kid. He used to dig for Moldavite. Later in life, he had other people dig for him. So now I know that this is genuine Moldavite. I saw the Moldavite being prepared because when it comes out, sometimes it's pretty awful and it needs cleaning with special brushes and sometimes soap and water and other things that they use. Just on a side note, a lot of dealers also submerge them in a kind of oil, and by doing that, it looks very shiny. Now I started doing that because I kind of like it. It's a bit like furniture. When you have old furniture, you want to bring the patina out, so you rub a certain oil in the old wood, if it's Victorian or Georgian, depending on what it is. You want to bring that patina out. So we used certain specialist oils, and that is very true with Moldavite with some dealers, and that's why sometimes you'll get a Moldavite and see it's so beautiful. And you think, oh, is this real or not? But sometimes they'll just use a kind of oil on it, and sometimes you can feel it on, sometimes you can't. It's depending on what kind of oil it is. Back in the days when I was, this is a side note, but it's always good to know. Back in the days when I was an antique dealer, one of the little tricks of the trade was clutch fluid oil and coupled with 2 or 3 other oils. And what they'd do is they'd mix it all together cheaply, and then if they've got a piece of, say, 1940s furniture, they don't want to, and it's got scratches all over it, what they'd do is they'd mix this clutch fluid oil with other things, with other oils like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's like a stainer. So they'd mix it all together and then they'd rub it all over the piece of furniture, and all those scratches would come out, so you wouldn't see them. Right? Very clever, but that's the way it is. So there is some dealers who will do that with Moldavite. But when Moldavite comes out, it needs a good clean. It's a mess. Now, I sometimes buy it as a mess and then clean it myself. And I've tried various ways of cleaning Moldavite back in the days. I wanted to see what would be, without being evasive to the beautiful Moldavite, how can I clean it? And there was lots of different ways. You can use not an acid, but like a kind of light acid on it so it doesn't damage it. But it just you dip it in, dip it out, and then you just leave it for a while and then wash it. And sometimes that worked. But for me, genuine Moldavite is cleaned and just brushed hard, all the bits out of it, and then soap and water. That's what I normally use. I like Moldavite in its genuine essence, like this one around my neck. Just a little piece, but nice and, okay, it looks a little bit mucky, but this is Moldavite. This is how I see it. So back on the track with Moldavite fake. This particular gentleman, and by the way, Moldavite back about 12, 13 years ago was now starting to become slightly more desirable. There was a few books being brought out, esoteric books, as well as the kind of meteorologists would write and so on. So I'd seen a few books and looked at them, but my interest was mainly about the property and the healing of Moldavite. So I got talking to this guy, and I'll tell you another story afterwards, a little bit further on. So anyway, I ended up talking to this guy who then interpreted for this other chap who used to dig for them, but now has people digging for him because he's a little bit old and it's a hard work. So I ended up going to wherever it was, whether it was, Barcelona, whether it was Italy, whether it was Germany. It depends where I was and where he was that I would meet. And I would cherry pick. I would get that, I'd look through, 50 or 100 or 500 and cherry pick about 30 or 20 of them or 50 of them, depending how much money I had at that time. And then I'd get some choice pieces, whether they were, I really loved teardrops. I couldn't afford the Bessanites. I couldn't afford hedgehogs, so I would just stick with the lesser, which they're still beautiful, the lesser ones, which were from different parts of the Czech Republic. Sometimes I'd get some nice pieces from Klum, which would be lovely, and Malý Klum, which, for me are phenomenal. But Bessanice is probably my favourite in form, not in power, but in form. And I love them. They're so pretty. I love hedgehogs. They're just the knowing that they were in the ground and the water formed this beautiful structure. So, yeah. So now I'm feeling confident, right? And everybody's happy. There was a phone call that came to me, and this lady says, I'm a bit concerned. This was years ago. What's up? This Moldavite, I've given it to somebody to check and it's fake. And I said, oh, okay, can I speak to the guy who says it's fake and please give it me back? I'm always interested because this comes from the man that I've been dealing with for years. So there was a phone call. So I said to the guy, and I said, could you give me your credentials? And there was a lot of ego on the phone, and like, what the hell am I even talking to you for? It's fake. And I said, okay, and I've done this a few times, and I've said, okay, I'm absolutely happy and willing to accept that it's a fake. And I said, but please give me your credentials and tell me why you believe this is fake. And he started talking, and I thought, you're there's something not right here. There's something not right. So I said, would it be possible if I could put you down on record, and would you be willing to say that this is 100% a fake? And then he started fumbling around and saying, blah, 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 blah. I said, so what you're saying is that you can't guarantee that this is 100% fake at all. You think that it's, and please tell me again who you are. And he told me, and I thought, okay. So I got this Moldavite back and I sent it to this same people that I sent that big piece of Moldavite to. It comes back and it's genuine. So I make a phone call again to this guy and I said, okay, so I want you now, if you were to talk to this company that fully deal with Moldavite and meteorites and tektites. So please, they'd like to speak to you. Boop. Not interested. Okay, so this guy was a gemologist. So he wasn't a meteorologist, I don't think, but it comes across as a gemologist. Like, so do you look at Moldavites every day? No, you don't, mate. So you don't really know. It just sounds good, right? That you just said it. And this guy was at a show. And it turns out he's only been doing it, practicing for a few months, but he claims to be an expert. So that kind of like made me realize that it's very difficult to know who to trust at all and who to believe. And so I stopped listening to people when they started saying, oh, this is fake. I stopped listening. I just know that when I buy direct from the guy. When I go to the Czech Republic and sit in a car with this guy and he said, do you want me to show you where the mines are? Do you want me to show you that these are the sand mines? Do you want to go? Yeah, go on then. So we get in the car and he drives past the sand mine and I'm looking at 6 guys all getting out of these scruffy cars. And they've all got these like pickaxes and these special tools, right, which look knackered. And there was me, the interpreter, the same guy, and this guy who used to be a digger, right? And me in the car. And as we drove past them slowly, right, he said, they don't sell to me anymore, these guys. And I kid you not, the look on them people's faces, these diggers, I actually got shivers down my spine. Scary. That's all I can say, scary. So there's a kind of dark side to Moldavite when you start to look into it a bit more. Anyway, we continued and he took me to the field where the most beautiful Moldavites are found. And that was really lovely. So I got the tour of 6 places where Moldavite's found. And I got to be in the field and feel the energy. That's what I asked to do. You know, I wasn't really bothered about the diggers. I wasn't bothered about the sand mines. I know what goes on there. And he also took me to certain places where it's brutal. It's brutal. These guys come and dig and leave it a mess. It's just a mess. So there's holes everywhere. I mean, you know, they don't care. They just want their drug money, their hit money. They just want to hit. They want drugs or they want to gamble. These guys who are digging, not good. Before, it used to be people who were really genuinely into it and liked to dig, but now it's against the law, and I think it's been against the law for a while. My understanding of Moldavite runs pretty deep because it's my favourite subject. So, in the Czech Republic, yes, Moldavite did land there. And when it landed, it lands, let's say, millions of years ago. We don't know. They say 15 million years. I don't care about that. But what I do know is that Moldavite normally is found below at least 2 to 3 or 4 meters below ground. This is my understanding. So when you're digging, if you dig for the first meter or 2, then there might not be anything there. You might have to go lower and lower. There might be some at the top, but as you go lower down, there's apparently a lot more. So you can imagine the holes that they dig, these guys. The government in the Czech Republic realised that the farmers were getting so upset because they were coming back to their land, their forests, and they were dug up everywhere. So you can understand that the government said, enough is enough. We are going to ban it. So even if you had a piece of land, right? If you own a piece of land in the Czech Republic, this is, as far as I'm aware, is fact. It's factual evidence. If you were to own a piece of land and you have Moldavite, on the escatura or the deeds or whatever you name it that says that this land belongs to you, the land from 1 to, I believe, 2 meters down is what you own. And anything below that is the government's of that country, is the government of the Czech Republic. So that therefore you can't dig anywhere too low, because if you go too low, it's gonna be against the law, which basically means that you don't really you don't really get it unless you do it illegally. It's ridiculous, but that's the way it is. I understand if somebody tries to break into your land, and I can see more and more each time I go to the Czech Republic. There's more and more fences being put up, and I can understand why now. I don't like fences, but if it was my land and people were digging all the time and leaving it a mess, in fact, they shouldn't even be on my land anyway. But yeah, so that's a side note. I'd like to at least give you an idea that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to Moldavite. So I've handled literally thousands upon thousands of pieces at any one time. If I'm at either a show or I'm in the Czech Republic, I can literally look at 5,000 to 10,000 pieces of Moldavite. That was back then. And at that time, depending on how much money I'd saved, I would choose, I call it cherry picking. All my pieces are cherry picked, even if they're tiny ones. I cherry pick the ones, and how I do that is not by how beautiful it looks. It's not by where it's from. It's by touch. So I hold it and think, oof, that's the one. And I don't look at them. So you can see, if you ever see me at a show, I won't talk to people. If they come up to me, I'll say, look, I'm really sorry, I'm a bit busy. And lots of people, when I was in America, the same thing happened when I was working on buying crystals. People were trying to come up to me, recognize me. And I'm just saying, look, I really need to work, and I'm in a different zone. I'm zoned out. I am channeling. So I'm touching pieces. Okay, that one. And I normally have my eyes closed when I choose, and it's very quick. So I go boom, 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 boom from wherever I am, what I'm doing. It's become an art for me now, and it's become easy. So once I have that feel that I've got, which basically is a channeled message saying this is the perfect piece for you to work on, then I take them. They're cherry picked. So I might cherry pick out of, say, 10,000 pieces, I might have 100 or 50 or 20, depending on how much I've got. So at that point, when I've got the crystals, I know who my buyers are, I know where it's come from, I feel it, because that's how I work predominantly. I don't work on inclusions, I don't work on air bubbles, I don't work on the structure, even though I have this beauty here that cost me a lot of money. Okay, so this is more for my own understanding. Okay, that's just for me to be 100% sure. It's a great, Omega is fabulous. Did I just say Omega? Max, hang on. This is also a gem tester. I test all my crystals with this, but you can't test Moldavite because it's glass. So there is another way you can look, and if you get this is a ultraviolet, and you just get your Moldavite, and basically you shine this, and you just have a look in a dark setting, and if you shine over it, you can see sometimes if it's genuine. If it shines really bright, then normally it's a fake. If it's got the dullness, if it's got cloud formation, you can normally see the difference. And if you look back on my videos, you'll see me every time, even though I know and trust my dealers who I work with, these people who work in the Czech Republic, I still like to go and test these guys who are meteorologists. I like to test them, and you'll see a video me putting 3 fake Moldavites in with 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 of them. And I did one video, I do it every time, and I give it to this guy, and he checked them and says, yeah, these 3 are fake, right? And these are, and I thank you very much, sir, you're absolutely right, I'm just testing you, right? So it just feels nice to be able to see if these guys really know what they're doing. So now I clock this guy and know it. I watch out for him every time I go to a show. So these are the things that I do. I started hearing on the grapevine, a friend of mine who was in China and sent me a photo, and it was a photo of one of the crystal wholesale outlets in China, and it was basically of 30 or 40 barrels of Moldavite. Now, they were fake, but they were about 30 or 40 barrels. Back then, it was selling for between 3 and €8 a gram. €8 a gram was for the big pieces. So, and I recognized them straight away. I recognized the big piece because I bought a fake one off somebody from the Czech Republic, right? And I'm saying, oh my God, I didn't realize how much. But to be truthful, there's a lot. There's a lot of fake out there. Now, yes, it's easy for people to say, oh, you can tell the difference. But if you're new to it, then you're going to see a beautiful piece of Moldavite on eBay, Etsy, all of these sites that sell it. And they're going to be, you're going to, oh, that's lovely. Oh, it's $5 or it's $20 or it's $50. And it's a lovely photo, but, you know, that doesn't look like Moldavite. And then you've got to look very carefully at these sites, because I spent years looking at them, seeing what's going on here. And you realize that it's not only China now, it's India. India's faking them. So why would China sell Moldavite, right? Why would India sell Moldavite? Why would you ship it from there and sell it from there? It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So, you know, especially when the market of fake is so much in India and so much in China, but there's other countries as well, guys. Trust me, there's other countries faking it now. Now, moving forward, one of the last times before this scam hit, sorry, I'm talking about the scam of we all get locked up so we couldn't go anywhere. Just before that, I shook the hand of the same guy who took me around the Czech Republic and Besanice and Maliklom and all the other places. And we sat down after spending some time in his home, and I bought a beautiful collection of Moldavites for a very fair price back then, before the madness started kicking in and the prices became crazy. And he told me a really interesting story, and I don't know if I ever shared it with you on here publicly. I may have done. But the story went, the interpretation from the interpreter to me when I was sat there was that when he was in one of the shows, I think it was Tucson, the big show in Arizona. Is it Arizona? Anyway, he was approached by a Chinese guy, and he was offered a heap of money to go to China. And he asked what for through the interpreter. And they said, we want you to check out some Moldavite and tell us what you think. So what happened was he was sent over to China to look at this Moldavite and to see if they could see it was genuine or fake. They wanted to see if he could spot the difference. He didn't tell me any more than that. That was the conversation. I asked for other stuff, but he moved on, because this is what he does. So basically, a lab had paid for an expert as a kid who knows Moldavite off by heart. And while I was there was a guy, I was at a show as well. And he was there. And while I was buying from the show, which was a previous time, there was a guy trying to sell him Moldavite fake, and I looked, and he got out of his pocket this big piece of Moldavite and give it to him. And this guy I think it was in Barcelona, he said, "Oh, do you want to buy this?" And this guy said, "This fake." And like, wow. And I should have bought that piece of fake off him to show you. I've got a load of fake here because I bought some off a friend who bought from China. And I paid, I think, 300 or 400 euros for it. And everybody said, why have you just wasted 300 euros on fake Moldavite? I said, so I can show you guys. And I've made videos on showing you fake Moldavite. I don't know where it is anymore. It's around about. Anyway, so the fake Moldavite. So where was I? I forgot where I was now. I was on a roll, but I'm not anymore. So I think the story about him going to China, if it is real, if it's a real story, and I have no reason to disbelieve him, was that there are two levels of Moldavite fake. I think one level of Moldavite fake is that is so easy to see from people who work with it every day, to maybe that there's new Moldavite that is fake, which is really good. So at one time when I was looking at Moldavite through a little spyglass before I bought the Omax was this one, right? So I'm looking for inclusions, little unusual things, because glass doesn't have that. And then I'm looking for bubbles, and it always made sense to me that I spoke to this meteorologist who says, when this beautiful piece of Moldavite landed and created a crater, when that happened, he said that the amount of power and energy that happens and the heat, it then splashes out this kind of like volcanic glass or whatever it is, what flies out as the meteorite had, and then it lands all over the place. And if it lands where there is sand, then it kind of creates a glass like Libyan desert glass and the tektites around the world. And so this is what happened. So in and amongst it doing this and flying up, as it's flying, it's almost like being blown as a master glass blower would blow. But in theory, if it's moving and traveling from where it's landed, and then it spurts out, as it spurts out, it's being blown, and as it's landing, now that piece of glass has been molded. But the difference is that there's going to be bubbles, air bubbles. There's always air bubbles in glass a lot of the time. So if that's the case, then the air bubbles, because it's traveling, are going to be elongated. So that made sense to me. So as I looked for them, I sometimes saw bubbles which were round, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe this is fake. But then I realized that no, it's not fake. It has both, or either or none. So like I'm looking, okay, I can see an elongated, but there's also perfectly round bubbles. So then I realized, okay, so now we're looking at the fact that we need to look even deeper into this. I got to the point where I got so fed up. With all of this fake and all of this trying to understand it, that I just decided to go on touch, because I got dragged into the world of fake and all of the world of people telling me what I should and shouldn't do and be careful and all that. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the best I can. And the best I can do is go directly to the Czech Republic, buy from source if you can, right direct from the source, okay? And work on energy. Buy from people that are 100% trustworthy, have been in this business a long time, who've got a big reputation to keep up. So individually, no, unless it's, say, a family there that has collected Moldavite for 30 years and they've got a huge collection and the father wants to sell it. Like I bought 2 collections like that of, actually one was a school teacher and one was a scientist come meteorologist. So I bought 2 big collections. So now my understanding of Moldavite is this. I don't give a damn about who you are. I don't care what certificate you've got. I don't care where you live. None of that means anything. I don't care what price it is, because that means nothing. What means something to me is me finding somebody that I can trust who is 100% genuine. That is the most important thing. Once I've got that established, I will check all my Moldavites even after I've bought them. And I check them in the way of using this from time to time, or holding it, or using the ultraviolet under the little tiny one, and mainly I feel it. I feel the energy from it. I feel it, and I don't care how small it is. It can be 0.5 of a gram, but I need to feel it. And if it feels right, okay, that's good enough for me. And that's a healer after 20 years working with Moldavite. So that's my understanding about Moldavite thus far. I'm on a journey right now of, I love Moldavite with all my heart. I've had a few setbacks with people that are now, I'm not going to say it, but let's say it seems to be overinflated, and it affects me because I have to sell it as well and I have to work with it. I would normally have in my collection of Moldavites around between 500 and 1,000. That's not a lot. That's not a lot, okay? For a dealer, that's not a lot. For somebody who works with Moldavite, that's not a lot. At present, you'll be lucky to find 200 or 300 on my website right now, because I am very careful, and I will not buy Moldavite unless I am 100% certain when to buy it and where to buy it. And right now, my only concern is when is the next time I can drive over to the Czech Republic and again meet those people that I trust 100% to be able to buy another collection. The collection I have, the 300 I've got, is perfect. I don't need any more than that. That's fine. People buy them as they want to buy them, or they go somewhere else. But mainly, I get messages from day to day asking me to verify Moldavite for people, and I can't do that because I have no... Who am I to verify if your Moldavite's right or not? And if you're asking me to check to see if your Moldavite's right, then why did you buy it in the first place? You've got to be 100% sure you're buying. If you're buying off Etsy, eBay, any of these Amazons, then the chances are you're buying a fake. Even though it might look gorgeous, even though it's got amazing reviews, anybody can fake reviews, anybody. And they can fake it for 2 years, and they can say all sorts of nonsense, and they can start up websites in a day and create them and make them look amazing. So it's important that you do your research, and whenever you buy a piece of Moldavite, you check out companies, businesses, people who have been working for 20, 30, 50 years. And that's when you know. And, you know, it used to be a point where I used to say, oh, guys, if you're buying a cheap piece of Moldavite, it's probably not Moldavite. Well, them days have gone, because these people are not fools. They're going to put it up to whatever price they want. If it's fake, it's fake. It doesn't matter if they charge €2 or 500 euros. If you think, oh, it must be genuine because it's 500, then you might just spend 500 more than what they could have just decided to choose to sell it for €5. So, sorry, guys. Here's my truth. Stay away from these sites and find creditable, I would say, first port of call should be your crystal store. Why? Well, crystal stores predominantly have only one thing that keeps them going, and that's trust, credibility. So if they're going to be buying fake crystals, it won't take long before the word spreads and their business is finished. On the internet, you just create another business. Oh, they're cheats. Okay, shut it down, start another one. Doesn't take an hour, 2 hours to start another one. So yeah, I always suggest you go to your local crystal store and ask them to get it, okay? And they will go out and get it, and they will ask the right questions, and they will source the right people to buy from. And I think that's it. I think 45 minutes talking about Moldavite through my experience thus far in my journey of Moldavite is that. No, I haven't talked about the magic of it. No, I haven't talked about anything other than fake Moldavite. And it gives you an idea of what I've learned over these years and how important it is to find a reputable dealer who works directly with those from the sand mines and those who dig and those who have been working in the industry for so long. That would be my gift to you today by sharing this truth. I hope you get something out of it. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Good luck with your Moldavite journey. Having said that, please guys, don't be put off by it. It just become more stronger in your attitude towards buying a perfect piece of Moldavite. Okay? Have a great day. Thank you so much for going to markbayersky.com and buying your authentic Moldavites, buying your authentic Moldavite healing oil with a Moldavite inside the oil, and my Moldavite dust that gets put all onto my Moldavite sticks. I hope you enjoy them. I'll link below and you can have a look. Have a great day. Thank you so much for trusting me and my working tools. Take care.